Hi everybody, I just want to make a video, not in my best light. I've just woken up. Well, I haven't. I'm awake a couple of hours probably. I don't sleep very well at all. I'm a year and a day in Scotland, living in the Scottish borders in a beautiful village called Westlinton. And I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. The people here are so beautiful and kind. My neighbours are so lovely. My next door neighbour yesterday came in, and I have a planter in the garden and it was just full of weeds, and she went off to the garden centre and bought strawberries, onions, red onions, and some herb, I forget. And she emptied it out and she filled it up with soil that she bought and filled it up, and just so kind. And then today her friend, like me, had breast cancer, and she's organized that we all meet up together for a cup of tea, and apparently she's got pizza. So I just wanted to put this out there because I've had the year from hell. It's been really difficult. I moved here on the promise of an amazing new job in a beautiful, aesthetically a beautiful place. Lots of people, patients, which was an amazing thing for me. Patients in recovery, and I loved dealing with the patients. They were just amazing. And I know that when I talk about certain things, I light up, and my passion is helping people and seeing them grow and come through the darkness into the light. I've done that many times in my life, but it's been a really difficult year. I left in Ireland. I left my home that I've lived in most of my all of my childhood, but I did move. I lived in France and I lived in London and all of that, but like most people, I came back to my mum, to the safety of, my knowing always I had a home to come home to. That was big for me, always knowing that I had that. A lot of friends, huge support system. That it's a lifetime of building up, and but just simple things like, your neighbors, in particular my next door neighbors, who've been there since I was, I think, maybe 3 or something like that. And absolutely just lovely neighbors, and just, that thing of familiarity, coming from a beautiful area, really beautiful area, beautiful people. You go down to the local shop and you just know everybody in Church Town. And then if you need anything, you just nip out the door and it's only 5 minutes. So I moved here and got this amazing job as project manager in a place that was beautiful and something I have a passion for. As most of you would know, I have worked with the homeless. I've worked with people in addiction. I've done a lot of volunteering over the years in America and in Ireland, and I would give anything to people to help them. So I was earning money and doing what I wanted to do, which is project management. And they got rid of me basically after 5 months, almost like 5.5 months, something like that, which is just before the contract. goes into permanent. I believe they felt they were paying me too much money. And there was a lot of hustle and bustle around the finances, and the place was an absolute mess. Oh my God. The place where I worked was run by the children of the owner, and they hadn't a clue what they were doing. Bar two of them, the two younger ones were actually seemed very nice and normal and with the world. And then the other two were, it was almost like, it was their place. And if you even try to make any change or do anything or, propose something, which is what you're there for, you're almost insulting them. They sent me then to the place in Ireland, and the guy running that, I've known him since he was 10, and he's an absolute, oh my God. He was like, why are you here? We don't need a project manager. I don't need anybody. And excuse me, and what did you do? And what did you do? And this guy has not even studied. And I'm not saying you have to study, but this guy hasn't even studied. Like, I have so many qualifications, and I didn't even go in there with that attitude. I went in with like, hey, how can I help you? I'm your new project manager. He didn't like that. And actually the staff there hated him and said he was really like just this cocky, egotistical, and like with nothing kind of in there. It was all ego based, which is just dangerous. Anyway, besides that, so that was crap. So I was meant to be traveling to Ireland and here, and then I thought, great, I can go and see my mum and work at the same time, go and see her and work it out that way. And I get to see my friends, and it would be just wonderful. And I found a pet sitter, which was amazing. A girl who worked in the same place as me. She was recommended. She'd never pet sitted before, but she was recommended. Now she's become one of my best friends in the world. She's an amazing person. And I haven't been home since early December. So she hasn't done any pet sitting, but for the last 4 months, she's been my friend. And, she's come into the hospital a couple of times with me and stuff like that. So that's the job. They put me up in one of their lodges, and it was the dirtiest place I've ever stayed in my entire life. Dirtiest. I spent about literally a month cleaning it. I couldn't even make a cup of tea for the first 2 days. I had to clean the whole area where the kettle was and clean the kettle and all of that before I could actually make a cup of tea. They had left rotten food in the cupboards, gone off out of date. The fridge was black. It was just horrific. So anyway, I cleaned that, being OCD. Anyone who knows me, I'm very OCD. So I cleaned that and blah, blah, blah. So I brought my dog, Teddy, my beautiful angel Teddy, who's 16 and a half. And I brought Weston, who was 15, and my cat, James, who I reckon now is about 10. 8 to 10. Anyway, I tried then finding accommodation. Impossible in the area where I was living. Impossible. So I was trying in 3 different area, 3 different main kind of villages or towns. And then I was even willing to go as far as Edinburgh and stuff like that. But anyway, I couldn't find anything. So I did find something eventually, which was $995 a month, which the people I was working with were saying they were paying $455 a month, I had to get a 2-bed, which was handy. I thought, well, if people come, etc., to visit. I'm a year and a day today, and I've had my friend Marie come and visit with her daughter Rachel. I've had no other visitors from Ireland. So, I do have friends. I kind of always say I've loads of friends, and then I sometimes think people think I've imaginary friends. I have a friend called Niall, and everyone hears about Niall and never sees him, so he's like my imaginary friend. So then that was that, and so I couldn't find accommodation. So eventually I did find accommodation very near where I worked, because I was told you have to because of the snow and all of the... Oh, by the way, yeah, when I was working in the place, one of the guys crashed into my car and made it a write-off. The car was to be picked up by the insurance of the company, and the insurance of the company that I worked for was meant to pay money to me and have the car picked up. Never got money, car was never picked up. So I drove around in my car that was a write-off, trying to find a new car. So now I'm trying to find a new car, trying to find a new home, and trying to... when I joined the job, they put me on this corridor to work on a corridor. Now I'm looking at patients' files. They're walking by me. They come over to say hello, or do you know where such and such is? And they're looking at people's files. So I did say that it was a little bit inappropriate that I was on a corridor. So that was fine. And they put me anyway into some office. And, it was like, do up your office. So it was like doing up my office. Wasn't doing up my office. I was trying to find other furniture within this huge building. It's huge. I was trying to find, in their storage and whatever, if I could find a couple of pictures, if I could find another chair, a table or whatever. Everything was like rotten. It was gone off. It was whatever. So then I was told to order stuff. So then I ordered stuff. Then I was told, how dare you order stuff? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That was my office. So I'm trying to set up my office, like genuinely trying to... They wanted it to be a meeting room where I can hold meetings with other staff members in other departments. So I'm organizing that. I was organizing actually quite earlier on. They have a big garden party in the summer. So I'm organizing that from scratch because nobody's any information about it. They do, but they don't know where it is, and it's somewhere, and it wasn't pretty clear. So I'm organising that. I'm trying to find accommodation, and now I'm trying to find a new car. So I went looking for lots of different cars, and then I'm looking for Jeeps because I was told, if you need a Land Rover, you need something for this area. And it was actually ridiculous. Like, it was... the prices were ridiculous. They weren't even comfortable. My car was Volkswagen Bora 2004. Really comfortable, like sitting on your couch. So that car was my everything. I had it since 2012. From May 2012 until I think it was December 24. So anyway, all of this was happening. I found my accommodation, and I have to say, absolutely love the house I'm living in. Well, okay, it only has electric heating. The electricity bills are sky high, but it does have a wood burner, and I got used to the wood burner. But then you're warm in one room, and I was told, open the door, it'll heat the house. It doesn't. So I had to learn with freezing cold when I got here in September. I moved into this place in September. So I'm in here. Then my job is gone. My cat got really sick before. Just got really disorientated, and I went to 6 different vets in a nearby town, and the 6 vets, even got an emergency vet and everything on a Sunday. All of them, every one of them, and they were 2 different veterinary clinics. I saw 2 vets in one clinic, and I saw 4 in another, and in the other one. And the 6 of them had completely different diagnoses for my cat. They don't understand feral cats here. Sorry, if somebody knows that they do, they don't. Because at home, they literally, you get a tablet, you give your cat the tablet, you bring it to the vet, your cat is sleepy. By the time they've done whatever they've to do and check it and everything else, they call you, you bring it home, you pick it up, you bring it home. The cat doesn't even know it's been at the vet. And if it does, it's kind of like it was in a dream. That's what, here they kept going, your cat keeps scraping me, your cat is vicious, your cat is, yeah, it's feral. I had to put my beautiful cat Weston down. I'm still not over it. I don't think I'll ever be over it. It was the hardest thing I have ever done in that sense. I get upset if I see a dead squirrel or roadkill here, or if I see anything, I pick them up. Even a rat, if it's dying, I hold the rat until it dies. I pick up birds that are about to die. I pick up, even if I hold them. And my cat looked into my eyes just before I made the decision. And I'm still not over it, because I still think he was misunderstood and he could have been made comfortable, and I would have had a little more time with them. And I think that's what's really hurting me. One was like, oh, he has lymphoma. The other was like, no, he doesn't have cancer. The other one said, oh, I think he's cancer. There's a lump on his head. The other one said, that's a lump from a bump. Another one said, I think he's an ear infection. And, oh, Jesus, it was, I can't even imagine having a sick child and trying to fight for your child in the medical system, because this is just, well, actually, my mother, I've been fighting for my mother for years, bringing her to different things, like bringing her to the doctor and trying to sort out her medications and all of that. So anyway, so then I'm in my new place, and my cat's gone, and I'm just surrounded by boxes and boxes and boxes. And then I know I have to bring stuff from Dublin, from Ireland. I've still loads of boxes in Ireland, and I've like pots and pans and dishes. There wasn't even a light bulb in this place when I moved in. Not a knife, a fork, nothing to sit on, nothing, not a bed. There was nothing here. So I was very, very lucky that somebody donated. A friend of mine, her friend was moving from a bigger house into a home, actually, and she donated a 2-seater couch, a double bed, drawers, a bedside locker, a little coffee table, and a couple of lamps, and another couple of things when and I was just like, it was just fabulous. So I had that, I have to say, and so I come here and I'm depressed, like I because I'm grieving now. I'm grieving my cat. I'm grieving my job. I just couldn't understand. My job is gone. My whole reason for being here is gone. My beautiful cat is gone. My other 2 animals, my dog and my cat James, are grieving as well. He's not eating. Teddy, he's 16 and a half. And I'm a mess. I'm an absolute mess. So all the anxiety I was feeling from the very dysfunctional job and company I was working with, and the people, I mean, insane. Absolutely insane. The insanity of it, I can't even describe. It was really dysfunctional. So that's kind of hitting me. Leaving my mum is hitting me. Leaving my mother. I've lived with my mother for years. I lived with her all through COVID. I came back home in the last time I ever travelled it was only for 3 months, was 2012. So I was living, I've only ever lived with my mum besides moving out here and there an odd time. And I lived, she was like my base. And so since 2012, I was living with my mum, all through COVID, all through everything. And then my family made a decision. I know I was in on that decision to put mum in a home in January last year, but I was only willing to put her into a home if she went to the one in our village. And I said, that's the only way, because then you can bring her to the village for coffee. She's in her village. She's with neighbours who are there, and also neighbours' kids. And it's just familiarity. Fabulous home. And all of that. And she'd been in to kind of, get better and stuff. And they were horrible. They're meant to be very expensive, top of the range, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, she's in a home now. And it's horrible, horrible. You can barely put a chair beside her single bed in the room. It's dark. The staff, the caring staff are very, very nice. But the people who run it, I've had a run-in with them and they're horrible. Because they have agreed with my family that I am not allowed ask about mum's medical information or stuff like that. Basically, I'm not allowed. And I was her next of kin. Did all her medical stuff. I'm talking for years. I sat in A&E with my mum for hours on end, hours and hours and hours on end. Never left her side. And then I thought, she was in this kind of place where when I came over here last April, she was in a place where she was ready to go into one of the homes that we had put on the list. And she was put on a list in an absolute horrible one. And they were like, anyway, so that's fine. And I tried, to kind of think, okay, well, that's okay. But so anyway, I was reeling from all this and anxiety. And when I had come over here, I had started dating somebody from last September. I'd known him from before, but I was dating him from September. I came over here and I wasn't going to live with him or anything like that. It was pretty new. We were only a few months dating. I really liked him. And so he would have been about an hour and 10 minutes from me. I thought that it's cool. We can meet halfway. We can go for dinner after work. He can come over to me the weekend. I can go over to him and eventually see how things go. And we were meant to go on holidays in the April. And because it just moved here and I got my 3 animals and my new job, and it was quite a grueling experience getting the ferry over. I'd done it like a couple of times, like filling my car, and that's how I was doing that. And anyway, so I asked him to meet me. So I arrived on the Saturday, which would have been yesterday, a year ago. I arrived on the Saturday, and on the Wednesday, I asked him to meet me. And he said, that's really far for me. We were going to meet halfway, but it wasn't really halfway. It was kind of, I think, about an hour for me and maybe 45 minutes for him. And he was like, it's a weeknight and la la la. And I mean, at this stage, I'd been 5 days on my own now in a new job, in a new environment, new country. And I just thought, my boyfriend's up the road. I'd love to see him. Anyway, we met up, wasn't for long. And he said, I'm going on the holiday anyway. I'm going with friends. And I said, can we not wait even a couple of months and go the 2 of us together? And it's not like, it's just for financial reasons. I was saying, because he wouldn't have had loads of money. And I was just thinking, why can't we wait even a few weeks and go together? And we could go for like, a nice long week somewhere, or 2 weeks, or a week here and a week there. No, he went on his holiday, and then somebody I know met him on the holiday and asked where I was and how I was, and he said it's over. So that was about a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks after I moved here. I found out from someone else in another country that he'd ended it. I didn't know. I knew he didn't ring me and he wasn't texting me, and there's no contact. Anyway, so that was a blow as well. So there were a few things that happened, and eventually, I had a friend here who gave me a loan of his TVs. One doesn't work up in my bedroom, and then there's one here in the sitting room, which is a blessing, absolute blessing. I mean, he was so kind doing that. And then I started going to secondhand shops and getting, bit by bit, secondhand furniture and secondhand this and that and the other. And then I had to go on the dole while I was looking for a job. And the anxiety around that was just, I can't even describe it, because I'm so far out here. And anyone who knows me knows I only ever worked 10 to 15 minutes from work. 10, 15, 20 max. But in Ireland, 20 minutes from work could be 3 miles. You know what I mean? It could be 5 kilometers, something like that. Like, for me to go to a place that I go quite a bit is 31 miles. 31 miles. Don't know, is that 40 something kilometers, whatever. Yeah, 31 miles. It's nearly an hour. So this is kind of what I'm kind of behind these huge hills called the Pentland Hills, and I think you have to drive around them to get to anywhere. So you're kind of, in one way it's fabulous, in another way, like, it's lovely where I am, but it's actually stunning, but it's also very far for someone as well on their own. So then I thought, being me, well, you know, you've always wanted to write a book, you've always wanted to do this, why don't you do it? Thought it was a great opportunity. I was getting sicker and sicker and just more and more unwell, and my shoulder started acting up. And again, I've had frozen shoulder for 3 years where I actually couldn't move it like that much. Not that much. It was horrific, the pain and the torture. And so it started up again. So I don't even know what it is, because during the summer I found a little lump on my breast, my left breast. I kind of said it to the doctor, and it was kind of brushed off. And then I went back again to the doctor. Anyway, I said, I'd like to see a doctor about this lump. So the doctor said, I can't really feel a lump. You don't really have a lump. So then I was called about 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I was called to a breast clinic-y thing. You know, those the mobile ones. It was parked actually in the grounds of the GP's place. So I went there, and she said, have you any? And I said, oh yeah, the lump. And she said, what lump? And I said, oh, she said, oh no, we're just the screening. You just came onto our system because you've moved to Scotland. So you came onto our system. And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, well, I have a lump. She said, okay. So she did the mammogram, and she said, to be honest, there's nothing there. I can't see anything. You're fine. But you'll get a letter. So then I got a letter. I'm going to keep saying a couple of weeks later, because it's probably 10 days to 3 weeks, most stuff. So I got a letter saying, come into the breast clinic in Edinburgh. So I don't know why. I knew. So I went in, really nervous. When the nurse brought me in, she was lovely, she was Irish, and she said, we're only bringing you in because you said you had a lump. We can't see it. But you're going to go into the other nurse now, and she's going to explain stuff, and she'll feel the lump for you, and then you're going to have an ultrasound, and then a blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. She said, we only brought you in because you said you had that. You don't, you're fine. Went into the other nurse, she felt it, she said, that's not cancer. That's definitely not cancer. I can feel it. It's tiny, but it's actually moving, and it's sore, so it's not. You'll be fine. So then I went for the ultrasound, and there were 2 doctors, a male and a female, but she had gone outside, and he's looking, and he said, where is this lump? And I showed him, and he went, oh, right, yeah. I'll just get the other doctor. And then she came in, she said, that's normal. It's actually, I can see it. It's right at the back. That's why I can really see it. It's right kind of near your rib. But the tissue looks completely normal. But I was, I think, crying at this stage now because I want my mum. Like, I want my mum, and I miss my mum. And I was like, I think it was like, oh, and I'm here on my own, and so they, out of anxiety, this lovely Greek doctor, she said, I'm going to take out samples. And I said, no, you're fine. I'll come back in a year. No, she said, she said, it's up to you. And then the lovely nurse, she was Scottish, she said, she was so nice. She kept saying, look, you're better off. Then at least you'll know you don't have cancer, and you can sort, you can work on all the other stuff going on in your life. I thought, okay, okay. Well, I didn't think okay, because then they were telling me they were putting in some sort of chip, like a titanium chip, and they were kind of joking about it, and I did not find it like, I was terrified I was being, that bloody creepy Microsoft guy was putting a chip into my body. Anyway, so then had that, went for then a mammogram, and then I was told to go home and I'd probably get a call because I live so far away. They wouldn't expect me to come in. And right up to the day, I didn't get a phone call. And I went in and I was the very last person waiting. And so I went in and they said, you do have breast cancer. We're shocked. We're shocked in the hospital and we're shocked here. Yeah. So we'll have to remove that. And are you on HRT? I am. They said, well, you have to come off it. And I went, what? And she said, is that the worst news you've heard all day? I was like, yeah. So anyway, I came off she said, wean yourself off your HRT, which was, in my case, it was estrogen and tiny bit of testosterone and progesterone. She said, wean yourself off that for the next 2 weeks. And I didn't. Went cold turkey. Didn't take any more because mine is estrogen positive, grows on estrogen. So did that. And then it's been a journey ever since. I told my sister-in-law simply because I didn't want family worrying. I told her only because, so I was diagnosed in December. Didn't really tell anyone at all. Told people around me or whatever, but I just didn't want to worry people until I knew, because then they had to do more tests. They had to, put iodine in, and then they found a second lump, and then they had to check that. And so it's been just, and now I've even more tests. I'm on, basically they had to put me on to tamoxifen, which is not a nice drug to be on, which is an estrogen blocker, and that's caused other things happening, which has sent me for more tests in a different hospital to check for cancer, which I'm probably fine. Could be another few weeks. So I have my lumpectomy anyway in a couple of weeks, and that's been a long time waiting, since December, because of all the different tests. And I had to get another marker put in, breast marker, just on Monday. What day is today? Tuesday. Last week. No, this Monday gone. We are, I don't know what day we are. Oh my God. Last Monday I had it in, I think. And then, or Tuesday, and then Thursday I had my pre-op. That was a nightmare because I thought my operation, they've changed that around a few times as well, which is a nightmare. So anyway, so that's it. I just wanted to do this. I want to do this for me because I'm lonely. I miss my mom. And I have been through so much in my life. And I keep going. No matter what, I don't know how I'm still here, but I'm still here. So I just want to say, a year and a day. I kept saying I'll do it. I was going to do the first day of my diagnosis. Then I was going to do the first day of my whatever, and then the first day of this, and then then I was going to do it yesterday because it was my 1 year, and I keep putting it off, and I'm not putting it off anymore. So I'm just going to give an update every day, and there's not going to be, special lighting. There's not going to be makeup. There's not going to be anything. I just want to share for me. And if that helps someone else, I really and truly, that would be everything for me. I just want to help other people who feel lonely, who've gone through shit. I have to try and figure out what to call this channel, because as you get to know me, you'll hear a lot of stories about my life, and some are boring, some are normal, some are awful, but they're my life. And I'd like to take you on this journey with me, because it's a lonely journey. And, you know, I also need the support. I need the support. So that's it. I hope it's not too long. If it's too long, give me, you know, just give me a few pointers. Don't ask me to wear makeup or to change lighting. I literally am holding my phone in my hand. So yeah, so I'm in Scotland, completely and utterly broke, getting into debt because like literally what I get from the state is half of what even my rent is. And then I have to try and eat and put diesel in my car, feed my cat, feed my dog. Bills, like electricity bill. Don't even go there. Actually, really don't go there. So, and then wood for the burner. So anyway, I better go because my dog wants to go to the toilet. Forgive my hair. My hair has gone very thin, but sure, I still have hair. I'm lucky. Okay, bye.